All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our PAX East reactions to the Final Fantasy XIV Heaven's Ward and Final Fantasy XV panel. Decided to do this a little different this time. As you can see, we got our characters in game, and I'm joined by two special guests on my right, or in your left. Uh, is in game known as Kagari. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Erin Van Dyne. I'm the editor-in-chief of NovaCrystallis.com. I also work for RPGsite.net as well, but a lot of people know me as Kagari. I'm also a moderator on NeoGAF, so you might have seen me around there.
And to my other side uh, is known in game as Grim. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tony Garso. I'm the editor-in-chief of Final Fantasy Network, previously with Kingdom Hearts Insider, so some of you might know me from there.
And I'm assuming you guys know who I am. I play in the game. I go by Avatar Korra. Oh, the mic's a little low. I'll bump it up a little bit. There you go. The mic should be louder now. Just let us know if they're a little low. But yeah, I play Core in the game. I'm Michael Damiani, still working for Game Trailers right now. And yes, we are in game in Final Fantasy XIV right now. And we're here to talk about what we just watched at PAX East. Look, you can even do emotes. Though we need that high five emote from Final Fantasy 15 that they showed today. I want that in 14. But let's start with Final Fantasy 14. Today they had a Heaven's Ward panel. They kind of recapped a bunch of stuff we already knew, but they did talk about some new stuff. So I guess I wanted to know what your overall impressions and of the panel were. Either of you.
All right, I guess I'll jump in. Well, I'm really excited for Heaven's Word. I guess the big news was that it's coming a little bit later than we expected, but I'm really okay with that because it's going to give them a little bit more time to polish it up. And the last update that we got was not too long ago, so we won't have a big downtime between now and version 3.0.
And Aaron, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to add to that, but as far as, the date that was revealed, I kind of expected it after reading. There was a Famitsu article where Yoshi P was talking about how he didn't want to release the expansion until he knew it was ready. And he kind of hinted that maybe June/July would be the actual date. And now we actually have the final date of June 23rd. And I think that's great. I'm actually, like, Heaven's Word is what I'm really looking forward to the most out of Square Enix this year because I know that the team has proven themselves with A Realm Reborn, and everything that they've shown for Heaven's Word so far just looks really amazing.
I kind of expected them to recap a lot of the information just because not everyone saw the stuff at the Fan Fest last year at the US, the London, and the Japanese one. But I was glad that they finally gave us a release date, even though it's a little bit later. Well, I'm pushing buttons on my character and I'm messing myself up. I was glad they finally revealed the release date, but I want to know your thoughts about the June 23rd. They told us spring. June 23rd is technically not spring. So do you
Yeah.
feel that is like, and they were basically saying it was pushed back because they wanted
Yeah,
to
well,
meet.
I mean, it's what, 2 days after spring ends, so they're close, but not quite. I mean, delays happen, and at this point, I'd rather them get it right than try and rush to reach that goal of spring and then put out a product that needs patching or just
Right.
isn't up to what players expect as far as quality standards. So, I mean, at this point, even though they're technically a couple days outside of spring, I don't think it's really a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends because there are a lot of people that are getting back into the game right now, and right now is actually a really good time to get back in. I mean, we've had what, 5 huge post-release patches right now, and so I think people, they're using that free login period to check that out again, and people are coming back, they're subscribing to check that out before Heavensward drops. And between now and June, it's like the perfect time to get caught up on like the story, on if you've been missing out on Endgame, it's a good time to get that done too. So Look, the June doesn't really bother me at all. I mean, it's probably a little bit later than expected, but it'll give people, again, a good time to get caught up.
I won't lie, I'm a little bummed. I was kind of hoping it would come in May,
Oh
cause
well, I mean, we all
yeah,
want it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, of course it would be nice to have it earlier because right now the next patch that's coming out is mostly story based, so there isn't, or at least they haven't really said if there's going to be anything as far as like actual gameplay stuff. So I mean, yeah, I would have liked May as well, and now like the early access is on June 19th, which is the day after E3 ends. So it's kind of like, oh, well, now I'm going to have to rush home and see if I can get in this early access.
yeah. That's gonna be really tight. When you pointed that out, that was technically the day after E3. I was like, oh crap! Like I thought it was the week
Like,
after.
I
So I was
can
like,
understand that they want to use E3 as a platform to really push the game for its last big hurrah before it comes out, but they like I almost wish they would have had early access before E3. That way I could play it before we leave, you know?
yeah. That's
One of those
yeah.
things, right?
I feel it's gonna be like tough on some people to turn around because we don't know anything about like how the reviews are gonna go for that. I'm just gonna assume it's gonna be like 14, where a Realm Reborn, where hey, you could start playing during early access, and then you could start,
Yeah.
doing it then, and it's gonna be like right after E3, which everyone's gonna be so burnt out and stuff because there's gonna be so much crap at E3, apparently, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's a big year.
Yeah.
Seems like it's
Yeah,
going to be a big
yeah.
year.
Well, I think it'll be a big year, but we'll have to see. But I mean, I can tell the team definitely wanted to get 14 at E3 again, even though it's been there for what, the past 3, 4 years now? Maybe more if we
Gosh,
count
yeah,
1.0.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been
It's been
there
like a
a
yearly
few
staple
E3s.
for them now.
And yeah, that does make sense though. That they want to push it at E3, give it a big presence, give it the proper kind of push, as you said, going into the launch of it the following week and that early access that weekend. So I mean, I guess it's a good. They're coordinating a good plan with that. Uh, I don't want to get too much into right now into like the thoughts of like, will people who are playing right now be able to, will the current content hold them over that long? I Besides the release, I'd like actually to talk about, they showed us new stuff. It wasn't all just recap stuff of what we already
Mhm.
knew. They actually showed us that nice. They called it Tour of the North in the stream, but I guess the video they put up, they called it Field Walkthrough, and they showed us a bunch of the new zones. They showed us the classes in action, the new race in action. What did you guys think about seeing this? Like, the environment's actually populated for once, and seeing more of the stuff in action finally.
I was really surprised actually because a lot of the stuff they had shown to the press earlier in the week, and some of it I sort of had this impression that they weren't quite ready to show it to the public yet, but the zone video was definitely a big surprise because they showed a lot. I know a lot of people have been kind of speculating on, oh, all the zones are going to look the same and this and that based on what we saw back at FanFest, but from what they've showed today, that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Wow, like the zones are really a standout feature for me. I think just like looking at this trailer that's playing now on the stream. Um, Obviously the big thing here is, they have to, consider them from, walking around on the ground and also flying around in the air. That's the big draw for these, huge new zones. They're going to be bigger than a Realm Reborn's, and I was kind of worried that they'd take a hit visually, but it looks like they still have, I mean, barring, a different sort of art design that's being implemented in Heaven's Word. They're bigger, but they don't sacrifice that quality, which I thought, wow, like above and beyond right now.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got from because what they showed us at FanFest were really short, very condensed clips. They didn't give me
Right, right.
they
And
didn't give a good
so
sense of scale. I felt at the new zones.
right. And a lot of people like to joke about PS3 limitations, but I think at this point we can say that they're definitely sort of trying to get around that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
But
mean,
I mean, wow! Like if they're able to push this on PS3, like imagine a couple of years down the line, like say they were to phase out PS3 and then like a new expansion were to be on PS4 and PS4 and PC. Gosh, like what could you do? Could you do like a huge like Cataclysm style revamp of the world?
don't forget Mac.
Oh man,
Oh,
They
Mac.
oh
announced it's coming
yes.
to Mac as
I
well.
I thought I had heard that before.
Yeah,
Um,
it had said
I
something
thought they
about that a
mentioned
long
it at
time ago.
FanFest or maybe one of the live letters, but the way that they presented it at PAX, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a big deal, maybe.
I was for a slight second before they showed the logo. I thought they might bust out the Xbox One logo. I was like, no,
Well, that's
that can't
that's
happen.
another topic in and of itself, I guess.
Yeah, but the sheer scope of the zones, it looked bigger. A lot of them they were showing individual parts, and it took me a second to realize this is still the same zone. I thought we were going between because some of the clips they showed, I was like, that's about the size of a zone in a Realm Reborn right now. And then they'd cut to another shot,
Oh
and it was
yeah.
clearly a different area. I was like, no, this is way bigger than a lot of the stuff that we have right now. And then adding the whole like when they showed the corner of the northwest part of the map that's where we're going for the expansion, I was a little hesitant at first because I was like, that's so small compared to the rest of the world, and they're promising us as much content as 2.0 when 2.0 launch. But then
Right.
you add in the whole flying mechanic, you're going vertical in these zones, like it's insane, like how big they are, and justifying the
But
use
yeah,
of
and
flying
it seems
mounts.
like there's gonna be zones that are flying only, so that'll be pretty cool.
Oh man,
Mhm.
those flying mounts are so good, so
Yeah,
good.
I'm actually like I'm really excited for that personal airship. It looks super cool.
A single rider airship.
The single ride airshot, I cannot wait for that. And I was really surprised that they showed off that clip. I don't have it in this trailer, but the one with it was Bismarck, correct, flying through the
Right.
clouds when they introduced
Oh
it.
yeah, that was the benchmark that they were
Yeah, from
previewing.
the
They
benchmark.
where Yoshi P said that they weren't actually ready to show that footage because it didn't have any music.
I
I
guess
was
SoCan didn't finish up before they pushed it out.
But I mean, I think have like if that sort of thing's like actually in the game where you can see the primal like in the environment, that I think is going to be super amazing because they
Yeah.
really didn't do that with any of the other ones that we can fight except for I suppose Ramu kind of counts, but
yeah.
Well, like Alexander too.
Oh,
yeah,
Alexander.
yeah. Alexander is more of a special case though, I suppose.
Speaking of Alexander, they didn't give us any more details, but they kept referencing the whole new loot tables that a lot of people have
Oh boy.
been wanting for
Yes,
a long time.
yes.
Probably,
Well,
probably
they
you
didn't
specifically.
actually say this on the stream, but in my interview with Yoshi P, he did say something along the lines of them wanting to get rid of the whole itemized system. So in the game right now, when you do the raids, you get, your treasure chest, and inside is a specific item, and they all drop through a random number generator system. And so you can go literally months without seeing a specific piece of gear, and it can be super frustrating.
Are you talking from
As
personal experience
I
or
am talking from personal experience. So it
oh
becomes
man.
super frustrating. You can be like super lucky in one tier, and then the next you're just like 3 months later, I haven't gotten anything. So but with the new system, it sounds like they want to get away from that. And while he didn't say that they're going to a full token system, he did say that it might be something like that, but something more like class specific based on your party makeup. Because right now, I guess one of the main issues that kind of happens is you'll get a piece of loot, but nobody in your party plays that class. So it's basically loot gone to waste. And then when you're under a lockout, I mean, that's it until next week. See ya.
Yep.
Yeah, we've experienced that too, and
Yeah.
it's
So
it's one of the most common threads that you hear people doing in-game raids talk about is they understand they want you to keep coming back, and they don't want you to feel like progression's too easy, but at the same time, if you get the bad RNG where you're seeing loot drop that is
Week
absolutely
after week.
worthless to your main characters week after week, it kind of diminishes the sense of reward. You kind of feel frustrated that
Oh
you're
yeah, it
not getting the stuff
becomes
you need.
almost soul crushing. Like, for example, in the current raid tier in the final Coil of Bahamut, we cleared the third turn, which is also known as turn 12, back in November, which was a few weeks after the patch came out, and I still haven't seen my bard pants, and it's so frustrating to see other people who have gotten them, who have only recently cleared, and you're like, oh man, I really wish I could have that. It's like the one thing that I still need, you guys.
Yeah, I think though, like switching off of that, the weekly lockout system, switching it maybe to. I mean, I'm not saying what this is what they're doing, but it could be under consideration, like doing that, kind of like a token system where you'll have a piece of gear that drops that you can turn in for another piece of gear that you can wear. And so I think that would shift things more from RNG to individual groups or statics having to decide, hey, you get this piece this week, and might be a Pandora's box of another kind, but I mean, it's definitely
Yeah,
an
I mean
improvement. I think.
the way that it was said from Yoshi P was that the plans aren't really finalized at this point, and they
Yeah,
don't want to talk about it 3 months before launch at this point because they don't want to get people's expectations up to be something that's not really there, which
right. Which
tends to
hasn't
happen
happened
a lot.
before. Sarcastically, sir.
So one of the other things they also showed us I thought was cool, besides like new zones and stuff, is we got to see the new classes in action a little bit more. And for people who don't know, there are 3 new classes that are being introduced in Heaven's Ward, and they are the Dark Knight, which I think everyone kind of like expected from all the teases. You have the Astrologian, and then you have the, is it Machinist? I always pronounce it wrong.
Machinist.
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 All right,
Yeah.
and
Some people say machinist, but it's machinist.
yeah, I thought it was like Machinist at first, but then people were like, no, that's not it. So I was like, okay, fine.
You have a little machine. You're using guns, so.
What are your thoughts on, now that you've seen some of, they didn't give a lot of details, but so far from what you've seen, which one intrigues you the most, and do you feel like a lot of people are going to gravitate towards those new jobs when they come out?
Well, first of all, I think that the way that they selected the new jobs was really smart because they created 3 new jobs that all look really cool, and I think everyone's going to want to play Dark Knight, and everyone's going to want to play Astrologian, and everyone's going to want to play the Machinist. But for me personally, I'm definitely really excited for Machinist because I've been wanting a gun user class since 1.0 when they teased the Musketeer job, and nothing really came of it. So the fact that it's finally coming, and from what's been said, it sounds like it's going to fulfill the needs of what my current class, which is Bard, already does. It sounds like if I switch to that class, then it won't be a problem as far as like party makeup goes. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, gosh, like at first, I play a paladin, so I'm pretty much used to tanking roles. So, of course, the first thing I'm looking at is Dark Knight, and I guess this new tanking class is going to be different than the other two. Because Paladin, you're kind of like, a meat shield, you take hits, you mitigate damage. Warrior's kind of like the self healing kind of trope, but I guess the Dark Knight is now MP based and, uses darkness attacks. That's pretty cool, I think. And the fact that they're able to, even though these will be classes in, each new role, like there's going to be a tank, a healer, a DPS, they, I think, have done very well to distinguish that, hey, these aren't going to play like the other roles, your other jobs that you're used to. But I guess I do have to say I'm looking at Astrologian too, because that's not so much of a classic job, but it's got a really cool design. So that's where I stand. Dark Knight or Astrologian.
Uh, I was kind of intrigued by the kind of the insight into the Astrologian, the concept art that they showed.
Oh yeah.
I was on the original weapon type, and the Yu-Gi-Oh comparison started coming
Gee,
out.
where did that come from?
Yeah, I was
oh
like,
my gosh,
that was pretty funny.
That was so great. Actually, I'm kind of disappointed that they're not doing that now.
You sure they're not going to get a letter from, I'm sorry, whoever makes Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Like the fact that they thought of that is just amazing.
Yeah. I play healer mostly, so I'm more interested in that. I'm just curious what they're. I just need them to explain what the cards and the stances they've been talking about. Like, I think everyone's just like, oh, is it gonna be like cleric stance so they could go, DPS mode or healer mode, or is it? I'm pretty sure it's gonna be some other type of stance that is not like that, where they alternate between doing some kind of like support stuff where it's more reactionary based versus this pure like healing. So I just want to know how it's going to work in real time. And they actually kind of, while they showed a lot of the background of it, the real time footage, they kind of skimped on that class. They showed a lot of the other two. They didn't show a lot of the healer. I was a little bummed about that. I was like, really, guys, you're not going to show any more than just
I
that
think
one
their
shot?
ultimate plan is, please roll Dark Knight. We need more tanks in this game, you guys.
Oh yeah, seriously,
Oh, yeah.
they
But
were like,
yeah, the as far as the astrologian goes, basically what Yoshi P said to us was they don't want to create something that they've already made. So when he said that it has two different stances, I definitely don't think that they'll be going with the cleric stance route again.
yeah, I think it's obvious that they're not going to do that, but just we'll wait till they actually show it. But yeah, I do hope they do. I do hope a lot of people adopt at least the Dark Knight, especially people who haven't tried to tank before on Paladin or Warrior. I really hope they give Dark Knight a chance. One, yes, to alleviate the inevitable queue times that are going to happen once the 3.0 rolls around, but also there's just generally so many times before you just are waiting for a tank for high level stuff unless you are in a static. It's usually like tank and then healers are the ones that you're generally
Yeah.
lacking. So it'd be nice if they do find a way to entice more players to jump, jump ship over from their healer or DPS class to that. But I mean, all three of them. I don't know so much about Dark Knight. I don't really do tanking too much as I do healing and DPSing, but both the healer and DPS class, like the mechanics they're introducing, they look like they're going to be more complicated. At least just from the stuff they showed in game, they'll have more complex dynamic to them, hopefully, than some of the earlier classes. And know if
Yeah, about that too. Well, since the level cap's going up to 60, I guess we're getting some new abilities on the old ones. So should provide something of a new twist or at least a little bit of a flavor to what you've been playing already.
yeah, they haven't like they keep saying they said during the panel like the level cap's being raised to 60. There'll be new abilities for not just the disciples of like war, like the magic and war, and battle classes, but the disciples of land in hand are getting some new stuff. The specialist tier or something they kind of mentioned, and
Right.
I don't do a terrible amount of crafting, so I didn't get if you think it's going to be they're trying to reduce how many people could be at the highest end of a certain craft, or if they're trying
Yep.
to have your each crafting class be a specialist in a certain type of thing, like a certain type
Yeah.
of recipe or discipline of recipe, like under culinarian, or certain types of fish you can only catch if you pick that. I wasn't sure what
Yeah.